In this video, I'm going to show you what I no longer spend money on in my 30s. My name is Kairo. Welcome to my YouTube channel. It's all about real estate, personal finance, investing, and maybe you're like me and you want to spend more money on experiences or investing in your business or investing in your future. Well, actually, on that note, Webull is doing a limited offer. They're giving away 2 free stocks valued between $800 and $1,600. So you can click the link down below to get your 2 free stocks. Or if you're not in the US, you can click the link down below for Trading 212. They're giving you a free stock when you fund your account by at least £1 or €1. Now, if anything in this video helps you in any way or you find it interesting, it would be a huge help to me as a new YouTuber if you appreciate the like button. And if you're interested in seeing future videos, I'm trying to post 2 videos a week, so you can click the subscribe button with the bell to get notified when those new videos come out. So the first thing that I no longer spend money on in my 30s is petrol or gas. That's mainly because I left a city, Cape Town in South Africa, where I needed a car and moved to London, where having a car is kind of a liability. It's difficult to park, you have to pay expensive charges, petrol is very expensive. So I sold my car in South Africa and instead in London will predominantly use public transport or bike or walk, because it's quite a walking friendly city. And that's only when I need to go places. Quite often I work from home, so I don't need to travel, so that's a bit of a luxury as well. Now, if you are in a city or a place where you do need to have a car to get around, then it might be worthwhile when you're looking to upgrade your car to another one is to get an electric vehicle. Electric vehicles, there are loads of government subsidies at the moment trying to encourage people to buy electric vehicles. And you don't have to get a Tesla. There are lower ticket electric vehicles as well, or even more expensive electric vehicles if that's your choice. You can even pull a Graham Stephan and get one for $78 in your first year in the US. The great thing about electric vehicles is they have a lot fewer moving parts, so they will probably on average need to be maintained less than a regular car. And as the maintenance of a car is quite expensive, that would be a huge cost saving for you. But if I do move at some point from London to a different city where a car is necessary, then I would consider investing in an electric vehicle. Now, the second thing that I no longer spend money on in my 30s are expensive gym memberships. So I used to have a gym membership to Virgin Active. No hate on Virgin Active, they run a very tight ship, but that monthly expense was too much for what I was getting from it. You can get the same or a similar experience from a much cheaper gym, but that's actually not what I do. I spend a lot of my time at outdoor gyms where there's like pull-up bars and dip bars, and that's free, and you get to be out in nature, so that's an even added benefit. I also spent a couple of months just doing home workouts during lockdown with a couple of resistance bands, and I noticed quite a lot of changes. So those would be my tips in terms of saving money on gym memberships. And also, there are very good offers on places like Groupon. For example, I got an offer for like 10 passes for like $1 each to go to a kind of no-name gym around the corner from me. And those passes I can use and when. So if I needed to do like heavier leg workout once a week, I can go use that pass, pay $1. Works out way cheaper than paying for an expensive gym membership. I'm actually thinking about starting a fitness YouTube channel as well, so let me know down in the comments if you'd be interested in seeing those kind of fitness challenges as well. Number 3, okay, this is kind of controversial, but it is Macbooks, right? So when I was in my 20s, I spent quite a lot of money on a MacBook Pro, and it was awesome. It lasted me for years. I think I had that thing for about 7 years until it pretty much exploded. Then when it was time to upgrade, I had to compare the prices of an equivalent MacBook Pro and what the competitors were offering, and it just didn't make sense to spend more than twice as much on the same specs on a MacBook Pro than I ended up spending on my Dell. Now, the jury is still out. I'm definitely not saying I'm going to stick with Dell or stick with non-Apple products in the future, because I've only had the Dell for a couple of years, and there are things about the Dell that I don't love, but on the whole, it did save me a lot of money. So even if the Dell ends up lasting 60% as long as the Mac, I can buy another Dell and still come out in the black from those 2 purchases. Now, if you're a business owner, there are tax write-offs and everything you can think of, so that's something worth considering. But when I had to buy the new computer, I hadn't had I didn't have a registered business, so I did have to pay the VAT and all that stuff as well. I might still very well go back to Mac when this Dell expires, because I'm still a huge Apple fan. I got the new iPhone 11 mainly so that I can make YouTube videos with, and that's exactly what I'm doing. So I'm filming all my YouTube videos with an iPhone 11 at the moment with a Rode Video Micro. If you want any of that gear or are interested in that, I put some links down in the description below. Number 4. Now, you might not expect it from looking at these visuals, but I used to change my hair color all the time. You know, I was a musician and I would have pink hair one day, blue hair the next day, this kind of crazy mohawk. I think I was still called Mohawk Boy from my university days for years afterwards. And it just ends up costing quite a lot of money. Even though I managed to haggle and negotiate a deal with the local hairdresser to get discounts, it ends up costing you lots of time sitting in those chairs while they're bleaching and then dyeing and cutting and straightening and all that kind of stuff. So I decided to just do away with that and let my hair grow really long. And now my fiance has convinced me, okay, fine, you can't just keep growing your hair, you have to get it cut to keep the shape. So now every few months I do spend a little bit of money to go to a very good hairdresser to have my dead ends cut off and whatnot, but saves me loads of money in comparison to when I used to go very regularly to have it dyed all these crazy colors. Now, if I had my hair short, I might be tempted to go to the barber and get fades, you know, when they like shave it short and then progressively gets less short, and have those kind of cool haircuts as well. But that could end up adding up very quickly because hair grows very quickly. So you need to be going to the barber regularly to keep that look updated. What I'd probably do is what I ended up doing when I had my mohawk and stuff. I just figured out how to shave the sides myself. Now, obviously, you're not all gonna have mohawks, but I also don't necessarily think that you need to completely shave your head if you're a guy, or just as a woman, put your hair up in a bun all the time. There are affordable options to do that. You could learn how to cut your hair yourself. There's loads of cool YouTube tutorials. My sister, she's been cutting her hair herself for the last year. I can't even really tell the difference, actually. She's been doing a great job. So that's an alternative, or just selectively go to the hairdresser, or pick a style that requires less maintenance and less expense. Number 5, in my 30s, I don't pay full price to go to the movies, to go to the cinema anymore. And this also ties in largely to restaurants. There are a lot of cool apps online. For example, in the UK, I use one called First Table. Basically, First Table just has a whole bunch of participating restaurants, and you can see which one you want to go to. You pay £5 to reserve the table, but then you get 50% off. And that is a way for the restaurants to get people in when they are not as busy. But that means I can go to some of my favorite restaurants maybe 20 minutes before their busy period and pay half price. So because my table was, say, booked for 6:45 when they're still relatively not busy, you know, by the time 7:15 comes around and my food arrives, the restaurant's quite busy, it's got a cool atmosphere, but I'm paying half the price of everybody else. And the same goes for the cinema or for the movies. No matter what country you are in, whether you're in America or the UK, there are loads of offers on cheap cinema tickets. For example, at my local cinema, which happens to be in central London, London being an expensive city in the world, I have one of these offers. It's the Meerkat Movies offer, which means I get 2 cinema tickets for the price of 1. And a lot of the other people in the cinema are paying the full fare. It doesn't make any sense to me as a budding entrepreneur and investor to spend more than I would need to for the same experience. So number 6 on this list is I no longer spend money on soft drinks or energy drinks. I used to spend quite a bit back in my 20s on those things, especially when I was studying. I used to drink Red Bull for those all-nighters before an exam, and I definitely don't go anywhere near those anymore. Last time I had a Red Bull, I thought I had like injected adrenaline into my heart and I couldn't stop shaking. So it's probably not that great for your body, and also it's really expensive for what it is. I definitely do not spend money on beverages when I'm in a restaurant. When I go to a restaurant, I spend money on food. I do not spend money on drinks, because that is where the restaurants make their money, or where the cinema makes their money, or the amusement park. It is on those beverages. So actually now in my 30s, the main liquid I drink is probably the liquid we should all be drinking the most of, and that is water. I don't spend money on expensive bottled water. I just drink tap water Obviously, if you're living in a place where you can't drink the tap water, then you will have to get a filter or buy bottled water, worst case scenario. But luckily, I've lived in places where the tap water is totally safe to drink. Oh, you definitely won't catch me drinking any of those plastic bottled waters, especially when they're not from a spring. It is just pouring money down the drain. Number 7, and this might be my most controversial one. Don't hate me. I've lumped 2 of these big controversies into the same point because I do not spend money on alcohol and I do not spend money on coffee. Now, I know there's super fans of both of those things watching these videos, so please forgive me in advance. But luckily, I've never really drunk either of those things. I never got into alcohol and I never got into coffee, and I can't even imagine how much money not drinking those 2 things has saved me over the last 10, 20 years. It's mind-blowing. When I used to go out for dinners with a bunch of friends, I would order my food, they would order their food and a few drinks. The drinks easily double the cost of the food. And I would have friends, even the very attractive female ones, that would still go on a night out and spend $40, $50, $60 on drinks in a bar. And that's in London, so yes, the prices are expensive, but alcohol is expensive wherever you go. So if you do drink alcohol, probably smarter, at least for your wallet and your investment portfolio, to drink at home, where you can buy from the bottle store. It's much cheaper than going out buying in a restaurant or a bar or a club. And this goes for coffee as well. Coffee is very popular at places like Starbucks and whatnot, but those are very inflated prices. So you'd be much better off buying your coffee and making it at home. Even if you want the crazy mocha frappa lattinos, you can learn how to make those at home. You can even just YouTube it. There's a bunch of cool recipes online, and you can get a very similar experience. You can even put it in a Starbucks coffee cup if you so choose. But to be spending over 10 times to get arguably the same experience, as I mentioned before, is not something that is in my wheelhouse. So even if I did drink coffee, I would be buying it to make for myself at home for a fraction of the price. Probably at least a 1/10 of what you'd be spending on it at a restaurant, coffee shop, or Starbucks. Point number 8, and that is rent. I don't spend money on rent anymore because I can now consider myself a house hacker. I've managed to get rid of one of the most terrifying expenses that people in their 20s and in their 30s and even later on in life have, and that is rent. And I do that by house hacking. So you can watch the whole video about how I live rent-free by clicking that link in the card up there. So that takes us to the end of the things that I no longer buy in my 30s. If this was fun or interesting or helpful at all, please appreciate by hitting that like button. That would help my new YouTube channel out so much. And if you're interested in more videos, you can click the subscribe button with the bell because I'm posting 1 or 2 new videos every week. There's videos like my Airbnb rental got catfished. There's how I live rent-free through rent hacking. And there's also some interesting tips on best investment books, as well as how to improve your credit score. So if you have suggestions for any future videos, let me know in the comments. Let me know if you are going to be giving up any of these things, or you have other ideas on ways to save money and budget so that you have more money to spend on your business or more money to invest in your future. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.